Today, we're diving into a crisis that can happen in pretty much any home at any time. It often starts out super small, but it can escalate with terrifying speed. We are talking about water damage, and as you're about to see, every single minute counts. So, let's break down exactly why.
Okay, so just picture this for a second. A pipe bursts, or maybe that old washing machine hose finally gives out. At first it seems kind of manageable, right? You grab some towels, you think you've got it under control. But the real question is, what's happening in the places you can't see? And how quickly does a quote-unquote simple leak turn into a full-blown disaster?
What's truly alarming here is just the sheer speed of the damage. The clock starts ticking the very moment that water hits your floor. Within just one day, your home's materials are already transforming. Drywall acts like a sponge, just soaking it all up. Wood floors start to cup and buckle, and all those dormant mold spores, they just got the moisture they've been waiting for to come alive. Fast forward to the 48-hour mark, and you're not just dealing with a water problem anymore. Now the actual structural integrity of your home is at risk, and you could be facing a serious health hazard.
That terrifying speed makes a lot more sense when you know where the water is coming from. So to really fight this problem, you've got to know your enemy. Let's start with Section 1, when water attacks, and break down the most common ways water gets into your house.
It's actually a surprisingly long list, and this stuff happens every single day. In colder climates, you've got those freeze-thaw cycles putting just immense stress on your pipes. Heavy rain? It can easily overwhelm your foundation or your sump pump. And then you have all the everyday risks. Aging sewer lines, a faulty washer hose, or that water heater in the basement that just suddenly decides to fail. Any one of these can unleash hundreds of gallons of water into your home in a matter of minutes.
This quote, right here, it really gets to the heart of the issue. Waiting, procrastinating, it's your absolute worst enemy in this situation. The financial fallout from waiting, which, believe me, leads to structural rot and widespread mold, is always going to be more painful than the cost of calling in a professional right away.
Okay, so what can you actually do about it? Let's look at the emergency response, because those first 60 minutes are without a doubt the most critical. That brings us to Section 2, the critical first hour.
This number, it's everything. A real professional restoration company operates 24/7 on an emergency footing. When you call them, they dispatch a crew that can be at your door pretty much anywhere in their service area within an hour. That speed is the first and honestly the most crucial step in minimizing the long-term damage.
So, while the pros are on their way, there are a few crucial things you can do. First, and I have to stress this, only if it is safe, shut off your main water valve. And please stay away from any submerged electrical outlets. Next, start moving furniture and valuables to a dry area if you can. Then, grab your phone. Take pictures and videos of everything. This documentation is absolutely vital for your insurance claim. And finally, make that call. Getting a professional team on site immediately is the single most important thing you can do.
Okay, the crew is there, the water is being extracted. But stopping the visible water, that's really only half the battle. Now we get into the actual science of making a structure truly dry, because the real danger, the one that lingers, is the moisture you can't see. Welcome to Section 3, the science of drying.
All right, this is a really crucial point. You have to understand these two terms. Mitigation, that's the emergency phase. It's all about stopping the bleeding, getting the water out, setting up all the drying equipment, and preventing mold from taking hold. Restoration is what comes after all that. That's the rebuilding, putting up new drywall, installing floors, painting. The key is, you absolutely cannot restore until you have successfully mitigated the problem. So how do the pros know they're doing it right? Well, they follow this, the IICRC S500 standard. Think of it as the industry's official rulebook. It dictates the entire process. It makes sure that the work isn't just guesswork, but a repeatable, scientific procedure that leads to a safe and properly dried home.
You might be wondering, why do all those noisy fans and dehumidifiers have to run for so long? Well, this is why. Water doesn't just sit on the surface, right? It wicks deep into porous materials. It actually takes days of continuous, controlled drying to pull that hidden moisture out of wall cavities and subflooring, which is what prevents mold and rot down the line.
And they don't do this with shop vacs and a few box fans from the hardware store. This is a high-tech operation. They have truck-mounted extractors that pull out huge volumes of water incredibly fast. They use industrial dehumidifiers and air movers to create a very controlled drying environment. But the coolest tools, the real game changers, are the ones that see what our eyes can't. Thermal cameras to map where the moisture is hiding, and moisture meters to get precise readings inside your wood and drywall.
Now, let's talk about the final phase of the physical work. Once that structure is verifiably scientifically dry, the process of putting your home back together can finally begin. Section 4. Rebuilding after the flood.
So this is the entire journey, all in 3 phases. It always starts with the emergency response and extraction. Then it moves into that crucial drying and monitoring phase, which you just can't rush. And only when those moisture levels are back to normal does the final reconstruction begin, getting your property back to the way it was before the loss.
Now here's something really important. Not all water is created equal. The source of the water actually determines its contamination level, and that is a critical factor. Category 1 is clean water, like from a broken supply line. Category 2 is gray water. It has some contaminants. Think a washing machine overflow. And then there's Category 3, black water, which is grossly contaminated. We're talking sewage or floodwater from outside.
And this is exactly why that category matters so much. If you have clean water and you act fast, you have a pretty good chance of drying and saving materials like drywall. But if your home gets hit by Category 3 water, there's just no discussion. Any porous materials that have been touched by it, drywall, carpet, insulation, they have to be torn out and disposed of. It's a matter of health and safety.
The water is gone, the drying is finally done. But you are still left with 2 huge questions. How much is all of this going to cost? And is my insurance actually going to cover it? Let's get into our final section, navigating the aftermath.
So, the final bill is influenced by a few key things. That water contamination level is a big one. A sewage cleanup is way more intensive and expensive. Obviously, the size of the affected area matters. The types of materials do too. Restoring old plaster and hardwood is a lot more complex than just replacing some drywall. But look at that last one, response time. Waiting, it turns a smaller, more manageable problem into a massive and massively expensive one.
This is it. This is the million-dollar question for every single person facing this kind of situation. You pay your premiums year after year, but when you really need it most, is that policy actually going to come through for you?
Okay, here's the general rule of thumb. Standard homeowners policies are designed to cover sudden and accidental events. A pipe that bursts out of nowhere, a water heater that ruptures. Usually, that's covered. But a slow leak behind a wall that you ignored for months, or damage from just poor maintenance? Probably not. And here's the most crucial distinction of all. Overland flooding from a rising river is not covered. For that, you need a completely separate flood insurance policy.
And here's a final, vital piece of advice. Good, reputable restoration companies are experts in navigating the whole insurance maze. They'll work directly with your insurance adjuster, they'll provide the detailed documentation that's needed, and they help streamline the whole claims process. And always get an itemized estimate so you know exactly what you're paying for.
So we end with this question. After all the crews leave, your home looks normal again, it's really easy to think the crisis is over. But is it? Is it really?
And the honest answer is, it's only over if the job was done right. The ultimate takeaway from all this is that the greatest threat was never the puddle on the floor. It was always the moisture trapped deep inside the structure. Proper restoration isn't just a repair job, it's a science. It's about finding and eliminating that hidden moisture to make absolutely sure that months from now, you're not dealing with a far, far worse problem: rot, decay, and toxic mold.